I haven't been outsourcing in the real brick and mortar world since March 2020. I've refocused my sourcing on all kinds of online activities. One of them is online auctions. There are a lot of different sites. In fact, there's tons of different sites that have online auctions, and there's genres all over the map. Antiques or new jewelry or antiquities or farm equipment or anything you can imagine, you can pretty much find in an online auction or liquidation stuff. So I'm gonna just show you around this one site, Auction Zip, because it's a site I used to go to a lot back pre-pandemic when I used to actually go to live auctions all the time. This is a great way to find them, but it's also a great way to find online auctions, and it's by no means the only way, but I'll just show you this site because it's pretty user-friendly. There's basically 3 kinds of online auctions, and they're not that dissimilar. To find them on this site, you go to online bidding, and it will by default list them by things that are happening now into things that are about to happen and then the further future. So these ones that say in progress are obviously in progress. The different kinds are a live auction, which are denoted with this symbol, and a timed auction, which is denoted with this symbol. I'll talk about timed auctions first. The concept is that all the stuff is online for a certain amount of time. You go in, you look at it, and you place your maximum bid. It works just like eBay, actually. And we'll just look at this arbitrary example here. So if you go into this, you'll see all the things that are up for auction. You'll see how long they have left on them. So this one just closed. This one's about to close. This one is a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, etc. What the deal is that these auctions open and close at set stated times, and you go in at any time and leave a bid. So you leave your maximum bid. It increments in the same way that it does on eBay. If you put in 10,000 right here, it's going to only up this to 290 or 300 or whatever their increment is for this amount, which you can find out in their information. And whoever has the top bid when it closes wins. It's just like eBay, actually. The only real difference is that everything closes a minute apart. So you can sort of sit here on these auctions that are about to end and you know, if you don't get this one, bid on this one or whatever. It's a little bit more, can be a little bit more interactive all in one place. So that's how a timed auction works. This is a live, albeit run by a robot, auction. All of the sites have a similar setup, although there's small differences. We have this window where you see the current item up for bid, has a lot number, a title, and a description, which you can scroll down. Sometimes you can also see multiple pictures of the item if they've posted them. Down here, we have this little slider view where the current item up for bid is highlighted, and you can see the ones that are coming up. You can also click to see more things that are coming up, and then hit return to live item to go back to the thing that's being auctioned. The vocabulary here is when an item comes up, it will say lot whatever open for bidding, and then these auctions are either all online, or there might also be an actual auction actually happening somewhere in the world with people who are actually there who are also bidding. So you'll see when bids come up that some might say online and some might say floor. Floor is people on the floor of the auction house. Oh, so you see here these ones are on the floor. So what happens is every time someone bids, it extends the time a little bit. If no one bids, you get fair warning, and fair warning is set for an amount of time, and usually there will be several fair warnings before the auction item ends and they move on to the next one. And you have to kind of feel it out for the particular one you're watching, how many fair warnings they're giving. Okay, so then we're open for bidding on this next item, and the same thing. If no one bids, it's going to give you a fair warning. If someone bids, it will decrease the time for however many, 30 seconds or something. They're all timed a little differently. It will end if no one has bid for a certain amount of time. I recommend, if you're gonna go to one of these, register ahead of time, though you can do it here obviously with this register to bid button, because sometimes it takes a while for them to register you if they're doing it manually. You might want to go to an auction where things are cheapy cheap and you're not that invested in them, and sort of practice bidding to get a feel for it, because it's somewhat faster than you think it's going to be sometimes, especially when an item is really competitive and the bids are coming in fast. Sometimes it's a little hard to click the button in time, and the button being, if I were registered, this button would say bid now instead of register to bid. And you just click that and it will do the next increment up. You don't have to put in a number. One more variation, which is live but with an auctioneer. It's exactly the same, except that you can actually see a video of the auction going on live. So I'll show you one of those. So this is one of my favorite kinds of online auctions because it's the most engaging if you're actually sort of sitting there watching, paying attention. This particular one that happens to be on right now isn't really the best setup, but it's a good example of what you might get. Everything's the same as a live auction when there isn't an auctioneer, except there's also this video feed where you're seeing the auction runners come up and hold the actual item. So that thing he's holding is this clock over here, and then you can see a guy in the background ready to bring up this clock, which is presumably coming up soon or next. Let's see, yeah, it's next. And if I turn the sound up, and the sound is very bad on this, so I apologize, you'll hear the auctioneer actually running the bidding that you're seeing in this window here, and there's people at this auction who might be bidding from the floor. So let's listen for a second. That's basically what it's like. I definitely have watched auctions where the sound is 1,000,000% better and it's easier to understand the auctioneer, though I can understand him. I mean, especially with the aid of seeing the numbers go by in the little window. This is kind of auction that I don't see that often, but I always enjoy them when they come up. And some of the auctioneers are really quite charming from around the country, and I'd never get to go to those auctions. So that's a little intro to how online auctions work. And in the next few videos, I'll show you how I find things that I'm interested in to bid on in these auctions, since there's just so much and there are so many. And I'll also show you a bunch of different online auction sites that are worth checking out. Please click the bell and thumb icons, and thank you and take care.